What's up, guys? I am back, and I got a guest today. It is Joy.
Hello, editor.
Yeah, if you watch my channel for the past 4 months, I guess she edits my videos from now on. Well, I hope she edits my videos from now on.
Yeah, I don't really see a reason to stop now. It's a good arrangement.
Yeah, it is a good arrangement,
hmm
especially for me since I am horrible at trying to create my own stuff.
And it's helped me out a lot with the way of like actually learning how to edit different things and adding stuff in. So
Trying to make her my own Lixian.
I'm not gonna go that far with it, but at least I have a mascot that I can use similar to what Lixian does. So
Which one, the Sphere or the Blob?
the blob. His name is Snarky. Thank you very much.
Hello.
Yeah.
Snark snark. But so anyway, what are we doing, man?
We got an NFL year in review. Basically, we go over what's happened over the year with our teams and others, and we just give our thoughts and opinions on it. It should be fun to do. For context, I'm a Bucks fan. You guys know this. I don't bandwagon. I hate when people say that. And she is a Lions fan, so she is equally as miserable as me half the time. But
I would argue to say more often, but
more often,
yes,
we're not the
and
ones that went 3-13-1.
yeah, and I'm also not a bandwagoner. I've been a Lions fan since the Barry Sanders days, growing up. So it's just been in the family and in my blood. So
That is a sad, sad life.
it's interesting. I've learned how to cope with stress. I've learned how to just be chill. it's 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 really helpful. The Lions are very helpful. So
That's the first time I've heard that. But yeah, we're just gonna go over the entire NFL year. We're gonna discuss our teams and others, and we're just gonna go from there.
mhm.
So up first, we just got a general year in review. So kind of a shocker. Not really, because the NFL script writers, but kind of a shocker. But a team went back. We had teams that go back to back in the Super Bowl in their home stadiums. We had the Bucks did it last year. The Rams did it last year. So was it really that much of a surprise that it happened?
I mean, not really. I was hopeful that it would, just for obvious reasons, Stafford girl. But it makes sense that I don't think that the NFL is quote unquote scripted in that way, but I do think that they will kind of try to manipulate and finagle things to go the way that's the best profitable for them. And it just so happened to work out this way. It was close though.
Use the term scripted loosely because
Yeah.
just given the entire year in scope, it's like it was scripted.
This year, especially, I seen a thing. I don't know if anyone who watches the channel is also a wrestling fan or not, but there was a quote that the WWE needs to get whoever booked the NFL playoffs to do their booking because this was the greatest playoff season we've ever seen.
Not for me. My boys lost.
But they made it all the way to the divisional round, and it was darn exciting. I
Yes, but it's not where
I
I expected.
I know, but look, I edited that. It was an exciting game from the beginning to end. You were
Yes.
up and down.
I was
So
excited for you because you didn't have a dog in the fight. I did, and you just saw my soul leave my body during the entire game.
yeah, especially the end. But I will say one note on that game: when there was 42 seconds left, I knew that the Rams were going to win it because Stafford has done that before with less time. So we all knew what was going to
So we
happen.
saw shades of that one game where he dislocated his shoulder.
Yes, I
He did the
loved
exact
that.
same thing.
I loved
I
that
mean,
game so much.
I didn't notice it at first because I was full of rage. I was full of rage and emotion. I'm like,
Yes,
no! But
you
then
were
I
you were
saw the
seeing red.
I was seeing red, and then I was like, oh, this is exactly like it was a few years ago when he was with the Lions. I was like,
Yep.
okay, it makes sense.
We all
Still mad
knew.
about it.
We all knew exactly what was going to happen.
Well, I didn't know.
You had blinders on though. It makes sense that you wouldn't be able to.
Blinders is an understatement.
I was being nice.
Yeah. Um, Cincinnati Bengals, though, they are. I was going to save this for my surprises of the year.
Hmm.
I'm going to get into it right now. Who had the Cincinnati frickin' Bengals getting all the way to the Super Bowl after seeing Joe Burrow bust his knee open and going 3-13 the previous year? I think it was 3-13. I don't
Yeah,
remember, but
yeah, that was kind of what I had written down for my biggest surprises as well. So I'm glad that we're in agreement. The Bengals season in general definitely was. I knew they were going to be special with the Burrow and Chase duo this year, but I definitely didn't expect them to go as far as they did and make it that close.
I didn't expect the Bengals to get anywhere at all. I had them going 5-12.
I knew that they'd be special and at least like get a wild card berth, but I thought that once they got to the playoffs, the offensive line was going to catch up to them because I mean obviously they
Eventually
recorded,
did, but
yeah, it was 9 sacks I think in both the Super Bowl and the game versus the Titans, which side note, the disappointment of the year for me was the Titans because they,
we'll get to them.
I know, but since we were talking about it, I figured we would just like jump to number three. About I'll save it for there. But yeah, Cincinnati, they had a really really good season, and they're going to be a dangerous team for a while.
I hope so. The NFC North looks to be theirs for at least the next couple of years because the Ravens, they don't know what they're going to do at quarterback. We got Lamar Jackson. He can run, but he's been very inconsistent in his throwing. And he just got hurt, so he's not going to have a whole lot of leverage when it comes to contract negotiations.
Hmm.
We got the Browns, who are dealing with sober Johnny Manziel. We got
Yep, pretty much.
Pittsburgh, who are now going to be going into a rebuilding phase. Unless they can nab Kenny Pickett, I don't see anything really going for them.
Yeah, I don't even know if I would
It's
go
going to
for
be pretty
that.
good.
Yeah,
The defense is still going to be pretty good, but Ben Roethlisberger showed the past couple of years that even if he's on top of his game, the offense is not capable of being productive enough to keep the defense off the field.
hmm,
So
yeah,
the
I
NFC
think.
North, yeah, the AFC North is up for grabs for the Bengals for the next few years, unless Baker can get his act together, which I don't see happening.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be the Bengals and the Steelers going neck and neck because I do believe in the rebuild. I mean, I'm of course a Lions fan. I have to. It's like in my blood. But
You believe in the rebuild, even if it goes off the rails.
yeah. Well, because you know you're building for the future. You're trying to do things the right way, and I like seeing the progress. And I think that Pittsburgh has enough foundation pieces to be good for the long haul. They have Najee Harris. I was going to say Richardson. No, that's a different athlete. They have they have Najee Harris and T.J. Watt. So all they really need is a true number one receiver because I think Juju's going to leave in free agency.
And we
And
got Chase Claypool and Deontay Johnson technically, because dismissing free agents, you got Claypool and Johnson.
mhm,
Then you got James Washington at that third spot, but let's face it, he's not really good. And then you got all the others that are pretty much cannon fodder at the wide receiver spot that
yeah,
basically can't do anything.
yeah. So they need a solid number one that'll be there for the long haul and actually want to play in Pittsburgh.
And this is all coming with the fact that you got some pretty good names coming up in free agency.
Yeah, yeah. You have a lot of talent hitting the market this year, so it'll be interesting to see who they can snag and who they're going to actually choose to lead them under center. Because I mean, they were saying Rudolph at first, but I'm not
Oh
sure
God,
if
no.
that's who you actually want to have leading your squad. But I think that he would be at least for this year a good stopgap while you build like a team around him, and then we see what's going on. But
To me, Mason Rudolph is just Ben Roethlisberger without the broken arm and the rape allegations. That's all he is.
which I mean, but one could argue that Ben Roethlisberger does have a Hall of Fame caliber career.
No,
So,
no, we've argued that, but I'm talking about more recent Roethlisberger
oh,
than
okay.
Roethlisberger.
Okay. Well, if we're talking like grizzled veteran Roethlisberger, then I would say that's a problem for Rudolph to already be at that stage.
I mean, when
Um,
your career highlight is getting smacked in the head by your own helmet, there's a problem.
I mean, true, but to be fair, he is a backup, so he wouldn't have a ton of career highlights because he hasn't had a whole lot of playing time. he's had more playing time than most backups would with all of Roethlisberger's injuries. But
He got outplayed by his own backup in 2019,
mm,
and that backup is now in the CFL with Ottawa, I think. So if he got replaced by his own backup late in the year,
hmm
only went back out there because then the backup itself kind of blew up in his face, then that's
yeah,
kind of a problem.
yeah, I would give you that. I think that's fair. But I'm usually a fan of trusting the coaching, and I fully trust in Mike Tomlin to put together a winning team because he's never failed to do that. So I think that they'll be okay. I don't think they're going to be Super Bowl contenders for a while, but I think that they'll be in competition still. They're always going to be in the dogfight.
No doubt, because Tomlin is really that good of a coach.
Yeah.
But moving on, I'm thinking back the season. I kind of want to think about some of the years some of these players had. At the beginning of the year, I actually had Ryan Fitzpatrick leading the NFL in touchdowns and leading the Washington, not the Commanders, but as a joke, I call them the Reskins. I had them leading the Reskins to the division title in the NFC East. To get to hindsight, I was way, way wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, he got hurt first week of the year.
hmm
Hold on, is it just me, or is FedEx Field that awful of a place to play on? Forget the fact that it's a structural dump. It's the field itself. So many players have gotten hurt. I mean, you had Ryan Fitzpatrick week 1, Chase Young week 5. You got historical injuries. You got Joe Theismann. You got Alex Smith.
Yeah, who
All
had
these players have been
crazily the same
dust.
injury.
Yeah, and that stadium is so much of a dump that the Dallas Cowboys had to bring their own benches in as a freaking insurance policy, not because they wanted to and rub it in their face, but because they had to.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the injuries happen in every arena and stadium that you're going to go into. So to say that that is the most injury prone area is kind of I don't know if I'd feel comfortable in saying that, but I will say that they definitely should consider some upgrades, especially now they have a whole new team name and a whole new look and all that. They should just go for it and just kind of rebuild themselves.
As long as rebuilding the stadium, holy crap.
I don't think that Snyder's going to pay for a whole new stadium. So,
Oh, he will once everybody threatens him with lawsuits about the place.
eh, I don't know.
Eh.
We'll see. I still think that he's really cheap and nothing's going to get done until they force him to sell the team.
Paul Brown was cheap. Holy Christ, you got things to learn.
hmm
But anything you want to bring up as far as the year in review is concerned?
Just like for our own teams, pretty much was all I prepared for. Outside of a few players, like we talked about the Bengals and the Titans, which just seriously disappointed me. Derrick Henry going down, and then he comes back, and the first game he comes back to in the playoffs, Tannehill throws so many picks that just cost them the game.
Yeah.
And when your offense can't capitalize on 9 sacks that your defense gives you against an already weakened offensive unit of Cincinnati, it's just something is like seriously wrong. But I mean, I don't know. I do think that Tennessee is going to be okay going forward still, because they do have all the pieces and they still have, of course, King Henry. But I'm concerned with the QB position because I think Tannehill's enough to get you to the playoffs consistently, but I don't know if he's enough to get you over the hump.
I agree. I think this pretty much proves that he was the same guy in Cincinnati. It's just that we were all enamored by his first year whenever he just replaced Mariota and did so good.
You mean Miami?
Did I say Miami?
You said Cincinnati.
Oh, whoops.
Like when did Tannehill play for the Bengals? I thought they went from Dalton to
I had a Freudian slip, okay? Give me a break.
oof, a Freudian slip. That's interesting. For me, the Lions thing, I'm excited for the future with them because St. Brown is like an amazing stud rookie, and as long as they can get a good number one to pair with him, I think that their passing game is going to be improved heavily.
Yeah, we'll get to the future talk later on, but yeah, I agree. As long as you guys get enough pieces around to support Amon-Ra, Goff, and Swift, you should be fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Moving on, we got preseason predictions that we had that didn't quite pan out.
Or some that
So,
did.
some that did. I'm just going to go right in because I actually had the awards planned out before preseason of who I think was going to get it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to start from the bottom up. For Comeback Player of the Year, I actually had Dak Prescott getting it.
Mm.
Again, with hindsight, because Burrow won it this year, I believe.
I believe so, yeah.
I mean, in hindsight, Burrow versus Dak, no question Burrow should have got it. But when I made the prediction, I wasn't expecting the Bengals to be anywhere near as good as they were.
That is true.
And this year also kind of proves that the Dallas Cowboys need a good quarterback, or else they're not a good team. Even then, Prescott's hasn't been really that impressive, even with that core around him.
Mm-hmm.
For Defensive Rookie of the Year, I actually had Patrick Surtain, the corner from Denver.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I wasn't sold on Micah Parsons. I didn't see J.C. Horn doing anything in Carolina. Didn't really see any of these other defensive players doing anything of note, except maybe Tryon because biased the buck. But other than Patrick Surtain, I saw nobody who could have been really have been good. But then Micah Parsons comes in and has the year he has, and it's been. I think he had some Defensive Player of the Year votes, and that's really all I got to say about him.
Okay, then.
So, yeah, I got that way wrong. Offensive Rookie of the Year, didn't have Trevor Lawrence. I didn't have Zach Wilson. I didn't even have Jamar Chase. I had Mac Jones in that award.
Mm-hmm. That's not a bad pick, though. I mean, even in hindsight.
In hindsight, it's not that bad, but the fact that I was sold more on Mac Jones than I was on Jamar Chase,
yeah,
shows how little my judgment really matters in an entire 17th season NFL year.
Mm-hmm.
Like any preseason predictions anybody makes, it's all going to be moot as soon as toe hits leather.
Yeah.
Anyways. But yeah, I had Mac Jones going for the fact that he was going to a stable position and he had a decent core around him. Might not score a whole lot of touchdowns, but could get the yardage if his receivers do get open enough.
Which,
Ouch.
Yeah. That was always the problem.
It's always a problem with England. If they can't get somebody off a free agency, they're stuck with whoever they drafted, and whoever they drafted usually ain't that good.
Which is unfortunate, because, I mean, they're usually really smart with the draft and always, playing chess, being one step ahead, but...
They're smart when it comes to every other position but wide receiver.
Which is just weird, because, I mean, not really, because if you have Brady, he can make anybody look good, so...
Well, he couldn't make the receiving core look good in his last year in New England.
Mm-hmm.
But just to give context, they drafted... Who was the guy from Arizona State who wanted to trade earlier this year?
Dang.
I think that goes to show how irrelevant he really is.
Yeah,
I can't remember his name.
I have no idea.
Dang, I know. It's on the tip of my tongue. Anyways, they drafted that guy over people like Deebo Samuel and DK Metcalf and all these other receivers that went on to have fantastic careers thus far. Goes to show that they really don't know how to draft wide receivers.
Yeah. I mean, hindsight being what it is, Deebo would have been way better to take.
Yeah.
He had an amazing year.
Yeah. Defensive Player of the Year, I actually got right. I picked T.J. Watt.
I love T.J. Watt.
He should, in my opinion, he should have won it last year.
Mm-hmm.
Too. apparently the people at the Associated Press think different. I mean, I got nothing to say. I had it right. It's like the one thing I had right out of this entire sheet. So,
But I mean, that one, I'm so glad that he had the season that he did without all of
he
the
missed
sacks
one
records.
game.
Exactly. And he's
So technically,
still
he still got it all done within a 16-week span.
true, yeah.
So, by technicality, he shouldn't have the 17-week season count against him.
True.
Offensive Player of the Year, I actually had this going to Matthew Stafford.
Mm. Who did that go to?
Offensive Player of the Year, I believe Cooper Kupp.
I was gonna say, was it Cup? Because Cup would have gotten that and the Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah, but no, Stafford won MVP, Offensive Player of the Year. That's what I predicted at least, because the guy who won MVP, guy who in my mind would have won MVP off the gate was actually Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm.
And
Which, in my
this year
opinion, he
kind
should
of-
have. But
Same as I'm on the same boat. I thought he should have won MVP because he had almost 900 more yards more than Aaron Rodgers. He had more touchdowns than Aaron Rodgers. He had 12 picks versus Aaron Rodgers 4, but who's going to care about picks if you're leading the league in both touchdowns and
in yards, yeah. I
and
mean,
passing yards? I mean, unless your name's Jameis Winston, where you throw 30 interceptions that same season, nobody's going to really care.
I do think that that's still a viable stat that we should be taking into consideration, though, because that does go towards accuracy and dependability in most cases. I would still rather take Brady than Rodgers, and that's not just because I'm biased against him, but I do think that he should have had MVP over Rodgers, especially because he actually play all season and Rodgers didn't.
I think Rodgers played the first half of the last Lions game, and then he sat back into the sidelines with a Dacare.
Yeah, a little.
Tweeting out how he hates the Packers organization.
Yeah, he had like one of those silly little appletinis or whatever on the sidelines, just chilling. But he did what I said he was gonna do in my predictions video when we were doing it. He was gonna stay in until the game started getting tough, and then he would pull himself so that he wouldn't have egg on his face for losing. And that's not the kind of player for me that you'd want to have leading. Someone who's just gonna bounce when things get tough. Where Brady could have sat, and then he chose not to. Like they tried to pull him out of the game, and he said no.
Gotta get Gronk this one more catch.
Yep, he needs to get his
He needs to
his
get
bonuses.
$100,000.
Yeah, he needs his bonus. Which kudos to them for doing that like a week or two after the whole AB situation where he didn't get his bonuses. That was such a good thumb of the nose to Brown. It was brilliant.
If you had waited a couple more weeks, you would have gotten them.
No, but you're a schizo. You
But
couldn't.
you decided to quote Chris Collinsworth. Antonio Brown disrobed himself off the roster.
Yes, he did, and out of the league at this point.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to be signing him after this. So he might as well retire and hope to God he gets a call from Canton.
I don't know. He
At
should.
this point, I don't think he even get that.
No, I don't think that he has the stats for a Hall of Fame career anyway. But especially not after going as crazy as he did. I don't think he would ever get in.
I mean, this is one thing I'll stand by AB for. I can blame this all on Vontez Perfect.
I mean, you could trace it back to that. Yeah.
I mean,
More
it's
than
kinda obvious
likely.
the man has like it's kind of obvious that hit kind of changed everything for him.
Yeah, because like, didn't he start kind of going off the rails the following year? Like it wasn't immediate, but you could kind of see him disintegrating over time.
After that hit, he kind of like fell apart. I mean, he had like one incident the year before where he kicked a punter in the face trying to hurdle him, but that was it. There was really nothing else.
Yeah.
And then the hit happened, and then his ego started growing, and then he only cared about himself, and then just snowballed from there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I could blame the whole selfish ego, maniacal vibe off of a hit. I think that's just something you're built
It can
with.
it can easily be seen as a cop out, but it is kind of interesting how all this started after the hit.
That is true, but I do think that it's a very valid cop out. Like you can easily blame it on that, but also that's just diverting the blame to something instead of owning up to it, which also fits with his personality. So, sure.
All right, moving on from the awards list, I actually had the Super Bowl. I actually had the Rams and the Bills playing each other, not the Rams and the Bengals, for obvious reasons.
Yes, because who would have expected
Who
that?
would have thought the Bengals would have been in there, but we've already gotten into that.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually had the Rams winning this. I mean, if you remember, whenever you edited my playoff prediction ones, I had
Yes.
the Rams winning all this,
Yes, yes, you did.
and I wasn't too happy about it. But I acknowledge that they had the power to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were absolutely a powerhouse team this year, so it makes the most sense. I did a
It's fun.
project with John, who we've done collaborations with and have talked to before, back in May of last year, where we predicted every week of the 2021 season ahead of time, and we both had the Rams winning the Super Bowl at home, based on just how it worked out. So it was really funny to kind of see that work out the way that it did. Unfortunately, I didn't follow with that with my own prediction, and I had the Bucks and the Bills playing.
I
And
wish.
yeah, considering that both teams were bounced in the divisional round, I wasn't that far off, but it was still wrong, which is unfortunate.
As far as the worst team is concerned, I actually had the Eagles and the Lions tied with the worst record in the NFL at 2-15.
Hey,
For
we
such
did better than you expected. Yay.
I mean, technically yes, but and if I was right as far as those were concerned, I think what would have played out was that the Lions had more heartbreaking losses than they had this year. Because it took literal kicks from God for the Ravens to beat you, so that would have been 4-12.
And a missed delay of game penalty, by the way.
I mean, you guys could have easily been like a 7-win team if
Yes.
these kicks and these bounces went your way.
Yes, it was
Y'all were up.
it was so
Y'all were
much
up
RNG.
You guys were up 16-0 versus the Rams.
Yes.
Y'all were up 16-0 into the third quarter.
Mhm.
And that happened.
Staff gonna staff, and he just did what he always does and pulled off the fourth
Had
quarter
to get-
comeback like he always does.
Had to get his revenge against the Lions.
I mean, the
Kind of a
problem,
revenge game for both of them, to be honest.
yeah, but one is actually capable, and the other is Jared Goff. So,
Jared Goff can be capable. You just got to get the pieces around him.
I know, yeah, that's what I was saying for, because actually he wasn't that bad in the latter part of the year. He had a touch over 3,200 yards and 19 touchdowns on the season. So early on was horrible. But once they signed Josh Reynolds and Coach Campbell took over play calling, he really came into his own and got confidence. So I'm looking forward to next year for that one. So he could be good, but he's definitely not Stafford.
I got confidence he will be good. Doesn't matter getting the pieces around him to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We saw what can happen if you have a good team around him. He takes you to the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm. He can. So
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see on that one, but
As far as the best team, the Buccaneers going 15-2, with only losing to the Rams and the Bills.
and then New Orleans happened.
And then New Orleans happened, and then the Reskins had to pull that magic.
I'm still upset about that game. I had that upset pick.
They're upset. They're
I'm
upset.
look, from a predictions standpoint, I know that I'm not a fan of Tampa like you are, and I'm not a fan of Washington like some people are, but I had that as an upset pick, and I talked myself out of it because I was going to look so stupid if Washington got destroyed, and then they end up pulling off the upset. I was peeved because I actually had that call. I had that called. I'm still
Oh,
mad. I'm still mad.
I should have kept that. I think that I don't know who had the best record this year, but I believe it was the Packers. I'm not too sure.
To Google. I have my phone open because I
To Google.
was I was I was texting, so I have my phone open. Let me check it.
I believe it was the Packers. They had a 13. Actually, no, it was both the Bucks and the Packers. They had the same record. We're at the same record at 13-4, so I was technically right, but
Yeah,
not at
but
the
you shared it, which
false column.
all things considered.
All things considered, plus they had the number one seed, so the Packers were technically the better team.
Yeah, which is just mucho unfortunate for me.
Don't
I'm
worry, they got knocked out pretty quick after that.
Yeah, that was fun. I enjoyed seeing that, but
It was fun for me. I thought we were going to beat the Rams, and then we had to play San Francisco in the championship game.
mm,
It's only hindsight. I made all these predictions in hindsight of us getting to the Super Bowl, but nope. But yeah, those were my preseason predictions as far as that was concerned. What were yours?
um, I didn't do any of like the awards and stuff like that because I don't really get into the NFL honors end of things, but I did have TJ Watt doing well. I had the Bills being the best team in the AFC because I thought that they were putting all the pieces together, and I really do like Josh Allen as a quarterback, but they're like one key piece away from going all the way. I think they're really close. I don't know what that piece would be. Like I don't know exactly what they need. Maybe like a good running back that can actually, produce
The
when they're.
entire offense is revolved around Josh Allen.
Yeah. So I think that they need a good run game because there were multiple games where it was like a snowball kind of deal and they had to be on the ground and they just couldn't run the ball. So they're going to need someone that's going to be steady there. I had the Bucks going farther than they did. So I was sad to see that because I wanted repeat champs. I really did.
So did I. What can I say other than the fact that we choked?
Yeah, kinda.
As far as the Bills concerned, they do got some options coming up for free agency they can get. Leonard Fournette's coming up in free agency. They got several others coming up for free agency. I believe they still got cap room to trade for people like Aaron Jones possibly. And in the draft, you got a few good running backs coming out, like the guy from Arkansas. I can't remember his name right now, but he's a pretty good running back. You might want to invest a late first-round pick in.
Yeah, that wouldn't be bad. I would honestly do both. I would get a stud rookie and then a steady veteran off of free agency like a Fournette or Aaron Jones is good. I do as much as I
Frank
hate
Gore on free agency right now.
Frank Gore. I've always liked Frank Gore and his running style, so I wouldn't be opposed to signing him as a veteran presence, but also I don't know with as aging as he is right now. I felt the same way about Adrian Peterson. Like he
And we
deserves.
don't want to touch. We don't want to talk about AP right now.
I like AP a lot as a runner, but he's just kind of messed himself over this year, bouncing around from team to team.
Bouncing around from team to team and bouncing his fist off other people.
I mean, boy's gonna fight. It's better than
Is there
some
anything
running
else?
backs. No, I mean we could like dive into the Saints situation, but really they're just their situation is going to be QB, and I know that you don't really want to talk about the Saints given everything. So
Do that, poor
yeah,
Emily.
yeah, we'll just stay out of the NFC for a bit and just move on to the next point.
Yeah, I guess you could talk about the Saints in this because biggest surprises and disappointments. I'm pretty sure you got the Saints down on here.
I mean,
Or I mean, we all expected them to have a bit of a down year without Breeze, but I mean, even without Breeze, they were a bit disappointing. I mean,
I
for my
they
standards, like I expected Jameis to have a good year. I'm using the word good here vaguely.
hmm
Like I expected him to still have a bunch of turnovers, but I expected him to have like maybe 20 touchdowns, maybe.
I think that the
Then
division would have looked vastly different had he not gotten hurt. Because weren't they like 5-2 or something like that before he got hurt?
think so. I think so.
Yeah, so they were a steady team under Sean Payton's tutelage of Jameis Winston, and then they always have utility with Taysom Hill, who I like as a player but not as a QB.
And yeah, and then Michael Thomas delays surgery.
Yeah, that
Then
whole debacle was interesting.
first Michael Thomas delays surgery and then holds out the rest of the year because of it because he held out on the surgery.
hmm
Then you got Jameis getting hurt. Then you got their O line. Then their D line.
hmm
The point. Then their third string quarterback gets hurt to the point where they're starting Ian Book.
That was a fun game to watch. Ian
Especially
Book's
for
attempts. Yeah, it was interesting.
by the end of the year they went 9-8, which is impressive given their situation. But
Which you can
dang, you think of what could have been.
exactly, yeah. You can credit coaching for all of that because you have to work with the scraps that you're given when there's a bunch of injuries going down, which is exactly. I mean, I would know. Detroit's year was just riddled with virus issues and injuries, and they've lost a lot of players that they should have had there that would have helped them get to the 7 wins that we talked about. But in the Saints case, it was like one thing after another, but it wasn't all at the same time. So like you thought you were good and then something fell off and then you replaced it and then you thought you were good and then another wheel fell off. So the the entire division would have been a lot more competitive had Winston actually stayed healthy the whole year. So I'm looking forward to next year and seeing if they can actually do something
Yeah,
without
I
Peyton.
hope. I given their entire situation right now, like they're over. Like I think they're like 70 million over the cap.
hmm
They just had their running back get arrested. Their coach just retired. They're going to be going into a full rebuild, I think, at this point. And
I
if
mean,
they
at,
do
at
keep a
least the
lot of these
partial.
defensive, at least partially, especially on the offensive side of the ball, because again, the situation of Michael Thomas, he's beginning to be a big problem as far as both productions, both production and ego is concerned. He's starting to get into that kind of big problem, and he might be used as trade bait if the Saints see something good in the first round as far as quarterbacks are concerned and want to trade up.
I
I mean,
with the QB class this year, I don't see that happening because I don't see any QB coming out that's going to be worth getting rid of one of your star wideouts to trade for. I think that they have a partial rebuild on their hands, just because of injuries and at the running back position, because you're losing like the keystone of your offense this year. So it's gonna be weird.
and
But the coaching staff is pretty
even
much still intact because they just promoted from within for the most part.
and even then, that key cog had a rather disappointing season to his name. I don't think he was injured the entire year, but
Yeah, I
I mean
mean,
by Alvin Kamara standards, it was a bit of a disappointing year.
yeah, it was more of a down year in comparison to what he's done before. But also when you have Trevor Simeon
Trevor
leading you
Simeon,
for the most part, there's a big difference between the passing threat of a Drew Brees and the passing threat of a Trevor Simeon. So you pretty much know that Kamara is going to get the ball. So it's really
yeah,
easy to kind of plan against that as a defense. So, when you're the only workhorse you have, your play is going to suffer if you can't take on the load.
yeah. Um, Other things I'm disappointed in. Touched on this earlier, but the Washington Reskins.
Okay.
I mean, I had them winning the NFC East, and getting into the playoffs, at least to the divisional.
Mhm.
Then injuries started racking up. Basically, the exact same thing happened to the Saints. Their starting quarterback got injured. That defense started losing more and more pieces each game. At the end of it, they were 7-10 and were pretty much hobbling on one foot,
Yeah.
trying to cross the finish line.
Hmm.
They had impressive wins. Again, they beat the Tampa Bay Bucks.
Yeah.
But one impressive win is not going to get you anywhere close. I mean, Taylor Heineke looked like I still believe he could be a very good backup, but I don't think he's starting material. And Ryan Fitzpatrick, God knows what future's in for him. I mean, I hope he keeps going. I hope he doesn't retire, but we don't know about that.
Yeah, with the last injuries that he's had and the fact that he's like basically a journeyman at this point, who's to say what's in store? I do believe in Heineke. I thought that he was rather impressive his first year out, so I was glad that they kept him, but the injuries to pretty much everything really put a damper on his own production. Because if you don't have a sturdy defense that can get you back the ball, then you obviously can't score. So
Yeah.
the entire team, there's a lot of teams that are going into a rebuild stage, or at least a retooling stage, and Washington's another one of those. I think they would have won the division if it wasn't for Dak coming back.
I think
Because
they
they,
would have won the division if Ryan Fitzpatrick stayed healthy.
yeah, that's possible, because they were competitive even with all the injuries that they had. So most of the games they were still fairly competitive and they were always in it. So they're really scrappy.
Dan Campbell, but without the fun.
Yeah, they're like Dan Campbell but less fun. Dan Campbell is such a delight. I'm so glad that Detroit got him. He is.
We're gonna bite off your kneecaps.
Yeah, we need kneecap biters, and then when you knock us down, we're gonna take the other one. It's just, which I mean, it's fair. You can't win if you can't walk. So just take out the knees,
I'm
metaphorically
quoting,
speaking.
I'm quoting that. You can't win if you can't walk.
There you go.
I'm going to use that so out of context now.
Metaphorically
But
speaking, we don't want to
yeah.
do bounties, but
on that note, I got another team who's been rather disappointing for me. The Miami Dolphins were pretty disappointing to me this year.
see,
Specifically, Tua.
I'm different. I was rather impressed with Miami. The last half of the year, they went 8-1, I think it was. So they lost their first 7.
And they went 1-7, and then 8-1. I mean, I think it was that first brief slick that ended up costing Brian Flores his job.
Mm.
But that's in a totally different can of worms. We won't get into that yet.
Yeah, I don't even want to discuss the whole Flores situation. To be fair, it's such a
It's such a gigantic distraction.
it's a distraction, and it's just one giant Charlie Foxtrot that I just don't want to even bother trying to delve into when I don't really know all that much about it.
Yeah, like, throw it off. Let's not even acknowledge that. But yeah, their entire year to me was a bit disappointing. It was basically first half you had Jekyll, and then the last half you had Hyde. I don't know which one's the bad one, but I'm guessing Jekyll.
Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So I think, yeah, was Hyde the bad one? Because I'm just thinking about I'm just thinking about Diamond Rio and Bubba Hyde, where he was like the. Never mind. Anyway,
I'm gonna assume I've never seen the movie, nor do I know much about it. All I know is that Jekyll and Hyde is pretty much a bad thing versus good and bad.
yeah, it's a yin and yang kind of situation. I read the book, but I
They
forget.
had a Jekyll and Hyde season in more ways than one.
Hmm.
I mean, first Tua gets hurt, and then he's replaced with Jacoby Brissett, I believe.
Yeah, I think he plays
Brissett
there.
goes,
Yeah.
Brissett goes around 3-7 maybe. I don't remember, but I knew he was in like most of the team's games, and even when Tua was healthy and in, he didn't look good.
Hmm.
He didn't look all that good or impressive. He just looked lost.
And
Is why I
then
believe
there's
Brian
some kind
Flores
of,
wanted somebody else.
yeah, I mean, it would make sense. But then the latter part of the year, it was like a switch got turned on and they just started beating literally everybody. Although strength of schedule was a big part of that because as soon as they faced a playoff team, they were reminded that they're not one. So it's,
Yeah.
I don't know. It was,
It was a weird year for Miami, but you can discount the fact that their starting quarterback got hurt
mhm.
as soon as the wheels started going. They got hurt. They win their first game, and then after that 7-game slide, then he
And
got
then
hurt
they turned it
like week
around.
3.
Yeah.
Such a weird season, but it's one they can build on if their coach is actually pretty good. I don't remember his name, but I think he was a 49ers assistant.
Yeah. Mike McDaniel.
That's it.
Yay. Coaching carousel research. Yay. The team that
Um,
I wanted to bring up real quick that you were when you were talking, it reminded me. The Colts were disappointing
oh
because
Lord,
th-
don't
they
remind me.
they gave up so much for Carson Wentz, only for him to be Carson Wentz, and it was really, really sad to see.
I mean, I expected them to actually have a losing year, if that's anything. Like, I expect them to go 7-10.
Mm,
I mean, I didn't believe in
yeah,
Carson Wentz. I didn't
me neither.
believe in what they were trying to do,
I believed
and
in the
I was
team
proven right.
overall.
But I mean, I was proven right as far as Carson Wentz was concerned.
Hmm.
But they still went 9-8, and they would have been in the playoffs until they choked versus the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Which was the most hilarious week. I remember
Yeah,
John and I were just losing our minds, texting each other during all those games because it was like you had one job, beat Jacksonville, and you couldn't even do that. Like,
they haven't beaten Jacksonville in Jacksonville for about 5 years straight now.
mm,
You can remember back to week 1 of last year, and they got absolutely they had their butts handed to them by Jacksonville week 1.
yeah, and that was when Jacksonville was actually not this Jacksonville, where they were actually surprising some
They
people.
were still terrible. Don't get me wrong, but
Hmm.
just that entire game was just comfortable to watch because they did all these things. The Jacksonville Jaguars fans, they dressed up as effing clowns to protest the management,
Hmm.
and they were with a win.
Yeah, that was part of why the week was so funny. Like Jacksonville's own fan base was against them, and they won anyway. And didn't they beat the Bills too?
Yeah, they beat the Bills like 9-6.
Yeah, it was one of the worst things. The funny thing, there was a meme that John told me about. Jacksonville pulled off a 420-69.
What?
They pulled off a 420-69 because the last time that they won was a 420 reference, and then they ended up winning 6-9. So
Oh Lord.
yeah,
John, I'm gonna slap you next time I see you.
it was funny because it actually got pulled off. So I think it was like a London game too, so that was even better. But
Okay.
yeah, I don't know.
I do have an individual player I want to highlight as a disappointment for me.
Sure.
OJ Howard, he was a gigantic disappointment for me yet again.
I've noticed you keep hitting him a lot, even though his production actually wasn't that horrible. It just felt like it was. He just wasn't targeted as much as other tight ends on the squad.
I mean, we drafted him in 2017 with this anticipation that he was going to be the tight end we've had in a while.
Hmm.
I mean, he was very athletic. He was a very good blocker. It was just a matter of, is he going to catch the ball? That was his entire issue his entire time he's been here. Can he catch the ball? Another thing is these injuries started cropping up. I mean,
Hmm.
last year he tore his Achilles open, and the year before he dislocated his shoulder and was out multiple weeks. I mean, we had to rely on Gronk and Gronk Jr. basically.
Gronk and
I mean,
Gronk
push the ball
Jr.
forward. I mean, you might as well call Cam Brate that.
Okay.
And that's the best I can describe it. Gronk and Gronk Jr.
I mean, if there was a good tight end pair, though, it would probably be them.
I mean, Cam Brate, he's outperformed OJ Howard in every single game they both played in. I don't care who you are in the Bucks fan base. I mean, Brate's been more impressive than Howard has his entire career.
Okay, and I wouldn't know. I have my own Lions historic tight end that's a problem similar. We call him Sir Drops a lot because Eric Ebron was one of the
Oh God, that guy.
worst decisions the Lions ever made, and now he went to Pittsburgh, and then he was in the
Proved them
Colts.
right.
Yep, and then he was still Sir Drops a lot. Everywhere he's been, he just drops everything. And it's
At least he's
just
not Evan Ingram.
I was very, very glad when they actually got rid of him. I was not a fan.
Then you got T.J. Hawkinson.
Yes, who got freaking hurt this season. I was not happy with that. I was expecting a monster year in year 2, and then he gets hurt midway through. But that led to Jason Cabinda. My bad. I forgot there was a D in there.
Just trying to figure out who the hell you're talking about.
He is the Lions fullback, and he played a lot of utility. They've had him in fullback position.
Quarterbacks are dead.
I love fullbacks. And he's playing the enforcer of the running back unit, which reminds me of Corey Schlesinger, so I'm immediately a fan. But yeah, they just recently re-signed him to a contract extension, and he wouldn't have been as relevant as he was had Hawkinson not gotten hurt. So everything happens for a reason.
Continuing on with this OJ Howard talk, I think it's more the fact that I'm more disappointed in the Buccaneers for not trading him while he still had value. I mean, could have easily gotten a second or third round pick with him to say someone like the Patriots before they got Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith. That could have been easy picks right there, but I'm more the fact that he did not pan out like we were all thinking that he was when we drafted him. I mean, yeah, there's first round overhype, but then there's just constant disappointment year after year, and there's just a time of like, okay, this is enough, we're done.
Well, that's fair, but also being from the tight end position, you have to understand that he's also got to compete with the likes of Gronk the last year and the year before.
I know, and in the last couple of years, we were expecting him to actually beat out Cameron Brate to get that spot, but he never did, especially after he got hurt.
Well, yeah, I mean, the injuries are going to definitely play a role in that. It's about how many times you're targeted, and with the relationship that Brady and Gronk have, no tight end is going to get as many touches. So of course his production is going to suffer. Honestly, I would trade for him. My team to yours, I would take him and have him bookend off of Hawk. That would be fine.
Well, that's the problem. We can't. He's going to be a free agent, so
Oh,
that's why.
even
that's why I'm
better, we can
disappointed
get
in
him
the
for
Bucs.
free.
Yeah, that's why I'm. It's more of a joint disappointment in the Bucks for not trading him last year or even this year. I'm like, come on, we could have traded him and got some value out of him, but now we're just going to let him walk and we get nothing for it except for a dead cap hit. But yeah, it's a combination of both being disappointed in what could have been with OJ Howard and what the Bucks didn't do with OJ Howard. So
Yeah, I can see that.
I've now just realized that all of my things on biggest surprises, disappointments was only disappointments. But
Do you have anything good to say about the Bucks this year? Any surprises from them, or is it just all we didn't win? I'm sad. Everybody goes home.
that's basically it. I wasn't really disappointed in my boys, other than the fact that they didn't get to the Super Bowl. That's the only disappointment I had as far as the Buccaneers were concerned.
Oof.
If I had to describe it in one way, it's like as soon as Sean Murphy Bunting got hurt, the secondary fell apart after that. But that's
Oh yeah,
literally
the secondary for the Bucks have
only-
been ridiculously tore up. It's almost so they had to go get Richard Sherman, and then he got hurt. So it was a mess.
That is the only nitpick I have about the Bucks season. Like the only nitpick.
Wow. Okay. Well, my I guess surprises with the team for my side was the emergence of St. Brown as a stud, and watching him grow over his rookie years is going to be fun once they give him someone to work with. And then I liked Craig Reynolds, who showed up out of the practice squad and stepped up when Swift got hurt. So he hopefully will be a spotlight of the running back unit as well. I'm expecting a lot from the running backs next year, which we'll talk about in our next point for the teams going forward. I have a whole blah ready for that because that was the first thing that I wrote. So I'm ready for that category.
But yeah, I pretty much believe in what the Detroit Lions are trying to build. I believe they can be good within a few years if everything pans out. So
Yeah.
I mean, there's really nothing much to doubt except if Dan Campbell's play calling gets. If Dan Campbell's play calling gets down to ace levels, then that's not going to be a good thing. Other than that,
the only
I do
thing
believe in where this team is going.
Yeah, the only thing that I will say for Dan Campbell's play calling is now that our aggressive foundation build year is over, stop going for it on fourth down every single freaking time, please. For my own sanity, we don't need to go for it on 4th and 8 on our own 30.
It's just admit that fake punt versus the Rams was pretty cool to watch.
Yes, I completely agree. But when you're in your own territory and it's 4th and 2 and you don't have your starting running backs on the field, maybe don't go for it. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Maybe don't go for it on 4th when you're in your own side of the field. I understand why he did it, because he's trying to set the tone and he's building confidence and he's building, players with grit. I respect that, but this is year 2.
I say this aggressive kind of tone he's giving me is kind of giving me shades of Greg Schiano. But I know he's not even that close to being that bad. Yeah,
he's gonna learn with experience how to become a little more polished. I like the offensive schemes that they've got going on. The re-signing of Cabinda, I see them going on a more ground-heavy, aggressive style, which is good because that's like my preferred play style is just ground and pound. The defense is going to need a decent rebuild because they're probably going to lose people to free agency. Trey Flowers can go away. I don't care.
I feel sorry for that man, to be completely honest.
Me too.
He went from a good place in New England to getting dragged to Detroit by Matt Patricia.
Matt Patricia, how do I phrase this without being too anti-Joy?
Let's do it.
He can take a short walk off the large cliff as far as coaching is concerned, because he and Quinn destroyed that team in the short years that they were there. And the Lions are going to be recovering from that for years to come. It's going to take a long time to recover financially and with players on the field. So every time he gets mentioned, I just see red like you do in every Bucs game. He triggers me hardcore. My hopes for the Lions on defense is that they can keep Tracy Walker, because he's going to need a good accompaniment to be really good, but he's not quite there yet, but he wants to stay. And Michael Brockers. I know that he's coming up as a free agent, but he's a really strong veteran presence that's really going to help the young defense. So, hopefully.
Yeah. As far as my team's concerned for the future talk, about half of our defense and all of our offensive playmakers are going to free agency. And we got about $5 million in cap space.
Yeah. So, speaking of rebuilds,
we're not heading into a fun place.
I think that the rebuilds are always fun to watch because it's going to be interesting to see how coaching actually handles it and can actually coach. Or are they just able to coach all-stars, pretty much?
I mean, Brady retired. Gronk's going to retire.
Gronk was saying that he wanted to play one more year, and he wanted to go to Cincinnati to do it. Because he wants to play with Burrow.
But, I mean, they already got their tight end set, so they're just going to be signing Gronk if they did as a luxury item.
Which, I mean, wouldn't you?
Yes, the Browns did it with Austin Hooper. Okay.
I'm just saying I would do it, and he would be a really good asset to have for Burrow.
So the last time the Lions Gronk rumors came up, he threatened to retire about it.
There's a big time difference between Detroit from that time and Cincinnati now.
Yeah, true, but I don't think given the history, it's going to be a good idea. But I do see Gronk retiring along with Brady, so there goes our top tight end.
Mm-hmm.
Fournette can franchise tag him if we wanted to, but that's probably not going to happen. I think after the couple years he had, he's going to test free agency. Same
Yeah,
with Chris Godwin. I think he is going to want to get paid somewhere else, ACL tear or no.
I'll take him.
I'm still mad with the Saints about that crap.
Mm-hmm.
Still mad about that game. Jason
course.
Pierre-Paul, he's out of here. Will Golston, he's been a franchise staple since we drafted him. I think we try to re-sign him.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Jensen, Alex Kappa, they're probably going to walk, probably to the Bengals.
Wow.
Ronald Jones the second, I see him going. Carlton Davis, I can see us using the transition tag on him. And Ndamukong Suh, he either retires or he walks. More than likely, he walks.
Yeah, I can see that.
OJ Howard, I already discussed him, but I think he is going to go away. Means that our only tight end would be Cameron Brace.
Yeah, that would be. Ouch.
Not an ideal situation, but it's going to be familiar.
Yeah, yeah. So what do you see them doing? Situation. What do you see them doing in free agency as far as the quarterback situation is concerned? Because I know that we were talking about in our Discord server.
As far as the what situation?
The quarterback, because they're going to need somebody to replace the giant void that Brady left when he decided to walk.
Free agency? Nothing. I think if we do go for another quarterback, it's going to be in the trade market. I mean, we got Russell Wilson. He's wanting to be traded from the Seahawks. Deshaun Watson's already out there if the allegations prove to be nothing.
Yeah.
You got Aaron Rodgers. We all know he wants to leave.
Allegedly.
Kyler Murray, he might be having a little bit of a fit, but if him wanting to be traded actually turns out to be true. $500K a year for his rookie contract, easy enough.
But he's only got the 1 year left, so talking about the future, you have to still make sure that you have the cap room to pay for it.
This is true, and given the cap is supposed to rise the next few years, we should be fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll see.
But yeah, as far as quarterback situation is concerned, if we do sign somebody, it's going to be somebody to back up Kyle Trask, because I don't think we're going to be signing Blaine Gabbert either, as much as Bruce Arians wants to try and chuck him into the fire.
That's funny. So do you think that Trask is up to the task?
Hell no.
Okay.
I got more confidence in gas station sushi than I do in Kyle Trask.
Oof. Well. Okay, then. Well, that's going to make for an interesting year.
If they start him and he does good, I'll leave my words. I'll admit I was wrong, but...
Buy a Trask jersey.
His preseason showing, it didn't really give me all that much confidence.
Mm.
So, it kind of scares me going into this year of, if he starts, are we just going to have white Jameis Winston or somebody worse?
Mm.
That's basically where my mind's heading. As a Bucs fan, you always have to go with the worst case scenario, because the worst case scenario is usually going to be the one that always plays out.
I feel that.
But best case scenario, he actually learned behind Brady and actually will blossom into a franchise quarterback, but I don't see that really happening unless he really did learn all that behind Brady and Gabbert.
Mainly Brady, but...
Only Brady, but
yeah.
Gabbert was also there.
Yeah, that's true. He was involved loosely, but I don't know. I think it's going to be an interesting year and off season for the Bucs, especially with their lack of draft capital and all of that. So it's going to be kind of cool to see what they do and what Arians can actually pull off. See if he's as good as Brady made him out to be.
But I don't think so. I think it was mostly Brady that did all the work.
Yes, 100%.
Arians just sat back on the sideline. And he just, God,
Words.
can't speak.
Arians stood on the sidelines and let Brady do what Brady does, and then reap the rewards for it.
Good on him. He's got a ring, but he doesn't have jack squat to go with anything else.
Yeah, and see, now the pressure's going to be on him to actually coach, and I'm going to be interested to see if he can actually pull that off, because I don't think he did that in Arizona either.
And I believe this is his last year of his contract, too, so...
Maybe he
if
should just
doesn't
retire.
win- I mean, if he doesn't win this year, he either retires or we let him go. But if he does retire right now, I am going to be angry.
I don't
Then
doubt
that's
it.
another problem we got to worry about. Like, oh, God. I mean, the contingency plan is that we just promote Leftwich. That's a contingency plan. It's been the contingency plan in case Arians goes down, but
It's not a bad contingency plan.
it's not a bad one, but it's still not the ideal situation you want to be in.
I mean, true. Because then who's going to step up in Leftwich's place?
How many of these free agents can we get back? If we get them back, well, hold on, I'm doing this out of order. The is, can we clear up some cap, get some of our key free agents signed, then draft well, and if our quarterback situation turns out okay, can we continue winning? Because we've been perpetually rebuilding since 2002.
I mean, yeah.
And
Aside from the 2 Brady years, yeah, you've been pretty much...
like, I'm fed up with all this constant rebuilding, quote unquote, because last time we rebuilt it, we got Jameis Winston, and we had 5-11 seasons for the next 3 years.
hmm I mean, at least you were consistent.
Yeah, we were consistently bad.
It's still consistent. Which is better than having one amazing year and then immediately spiraling into garbage the next.
I'd rather be UCF at this point. At least then I know we can at least win one. We can at least win every once in a while instead of just being consistently bad every year.
There.
But I swear to God, if we end up going another 20 years without a Super Bowl, I'm just going to be like, okay, we're basically the leap year of NFL teams. We go once every 20 years and then be bad for the next 20.
The leap year team. I like that.
It happened, I mean, between 2002 and 2021, it was a 19-year span.
hmm
I swear to God, if in 19 years we go back to the Super Bowl without anything happening in between, I'm going to know that it's
Maybe the Brady history will repeat itself and Mac Jones will come save you in another 20 years.
Oh, God. Mac Jones ain't no Brady.
I mean, no, but still.
Yeah.
Freaking what? Okay, Brady's son gets drafted there.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh,
It's just constant Brady domination for like 50 years straight. First him, then his son, and then his son's son. It's gonna be great.
Eli and Peyton Manning's nephew is going to be in the NFL in a few years. That's the expectation. And I think Brady's son, who is already playing quarterback in like a school, I think he's going to be drafted a couple years after that. So I think it's just going to be history repeating itself as far as Manning and Brady's concerned.
I thoroughly look forward to that. I've loved that saga. It's been some of the most fun to grow up with.
I just wish I started paying attention sooner than 2009.
It would help.
2009, I just picked my team and I didn't care who they were playing. I didn't pay attention.
Mm.
And 2017 happened and I started paying close attention.
Got you. It is interesting to see like the different NFL journeys of the fans and like how they came to be.
And mine was just, oh, their logo looks cool. I'm in. Very cut and dry.
Yeah. That's fun.
Yeah. I was a fan for about over a decade now, but I didn't start paying attention until 2017, technically, but...
Yeah, like that was when you actually truly started caring. Before you were just kind of a casual, I'll catch a game when it's on kind of vibe.
Well, that was also given the fact that my that I didn't really have any cable since I've lived with my uncle the first couple years in Texas.
Ah, okay.
But yeah, we didn't have a lot of cable. What NFL that came on was just the Super Bowl, and that was it.
I mean, at least you were able to catch some good football and stuff from that, so that's good.
Yeah. Yeah, we just gotta work hard on trying to get those free agents signed, and if we do get one of those quarterbacks I mentioned through the trade, and I see us still being contenders, but if we can't find anybody, it's just gonna be trust and Trask and hope for the best.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that the NFC South is going to be really interesting because everyone's pretty much rebuilding at this stage. So the entire division's kind
Every
of up for
team's gonna
grab.
be pretty freaking bad.
Yeah. It's going to be
NFC
up for grabs. So
Shades of 2012 all over again. By the way, yes, I get to know my history about my team. I don't get to have any other say, troll. That debate still bugs me to this day.
I can tell.
Like, what do you mean I can't know about the history of my team, huh? When someone makes fun of us for being 0-14, I don't get to know about that?
That's fun.
What? 0-14 was our first season as a professional club, and what can I say other than the fact that we were an expansion team built up of nobodies?
Yeah. I mean, that happens.
I mean, at least we didn't go 0-16.
Mm-hmm.
Bronx.
And Lions, but yes.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Insert Daniel Orlovsky running out of the end zone.
Mr. Safety. I'm still mad. He still bothers me. And the fact that he's an analyst that actually gives QB critique is like, how freaking dare you think that you have enough knowledge?
It was one play. Give him a break.
It was freaking dumb. You know where you're standing. You're a professional football player. You know where the out of bounds lines are.
When someone's belting right towards you to get sacked, I think you're going to not care about what's around you and try and get out of there.
A true veteran would have thrown it away. Or stepped up.
Orlovsky was like in the NFL for 3 years before that day.
Still wasn't a rookie.
He hasn't had any starting experience, okay?
But he still wasn't a rookie. I'm sorry.
Okay.
But I'm mad. I have a lot of Lions memories, okay? It happens.
Okay. But I think that's actually it for all we wanted to talk about, unless you got something.
Nah, I'm good. We've gone well over an hour, so
That's a lot less than our Hall of Fame video took.
true, but this is gonna be just one video.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be more interesting to try to condense and cut down for you.
Yeah. Yeah, if that's all we really had to talk about, I guess that's it for this entire thing.
Yeah, pretty much. To anyone watching, feel free to leave down in the comments your biggest takeaways from the season, what you were most disappointed in, and what you were most happy to see happen.
And if you disagreed with us on anything, just know it's our opinions. We don't give any.
I mean, I care a little, and I'm always open to debate, but you also have to understand my team and where I'm coming from, so, like, no.
Whatever. It's our opinions. We're giving them. If you don't agree with that, that's your problem, but bring it up in the comments if you want to anyways.
Yeah.
That is it for this video. This is actually the first time me and her ever done a collab that's going to be exclusively on my channel.
Yeah, it was fun. Thanks for having me in on this.
Yeah, it was pretty fun to do. If I ever do get a capture card, maybe I could put some of the games we play on this channel too. It's just a matter of when I could get one. But anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed. This is really fun to do, and if you liked it, leave a like, put a comment down in the comment section, click the subscribe button, and click the bell to get notifications of when I upload on the channel. Maybe you'll see Joy again. Joy, say goodbye.
Later.
And we will see you guys next time. Y'all have a nice day. We're out.